Welcome back to Talking Shop with ShopSabre. In this podcast, we like to tackle the CNC industry specifically and really talk a little bit about business in general. Hopefully you'll find some entertainment throughout it and hopefully some education. But the next episode starts right now. Welcome to this week's episode of Talking Shop. I am your host, Brandon Bombardo. As always, I have my partner in crime, Nick Peters, by my side.
Hello, Brandon.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. Hopefully everybody else is doing the same.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping everybody's doing well. We're on take 2 of the day.
Oh, boy.
This is going well. You know, as you guys all know, we're back here trying to provide some entertainment, challenging your thoughts, and hopefully helping you find some motivation throughout your week to do great things. Unfortunately, we're getting take 2 on this week because we started and there wasn't an SD card in this thing, so it didn't record anything. So
not the first time it has been recorded, is it?
Yeah, you think we'd check this thing a little bit more often, but hey, we like to wing it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
But this week we're going to kick things off with current events, followed by some questions and comments that you guys have submitted, you the listeners. And then we are going to follow it up for a question for you guys to contemplate and argue about. And then we're going to dive into the heart of this week's episode, which is going to be a little bit about, I guess, business in general, but it's called Creating Your Path Forward, taking control of your career or business. So I'm looking forward to that one. Shouldn't be terribly long, hopefully. And then we're going to follow it up with The Internet is Broken. And then we're going to finish it off with a weekly dose of motivation, followed by our final thoughts.
Final thoughts are going to be great this week.
Is that where you're dropping the bomb?
Yep.
So
a new little bit for the final.
Yeah, apparently Nick's been teasing me all week long. He said he's got this new thing for the podcast, but he won't tell me what it is or when I was going to hear about it. So this is the first I'm hearing about it. Apparently it's going to be during final thoughts today.
And also, since I know what the question of the week is, there's only one real right answer. We'll get to that later too. But
one real right answer to this week's question of the week. I like it. I think I know the answer to that question. So
yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
And you will agree with me.
Probably not, but moving on. Current events. Well, voting's over. I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, we're going to go to that one first.
We're going to jump into that.
Oh, all right.
I'm glad that voting is over.
Me too.
Because
the ads.
There's no more annoying ads.
I don't get any mail anymore, though.
This is true. My buddy saved everything he got in the mail for the whole thing, and he took a picture of it at the end, and it's ridiculous.
I can almost imagine.
The kindling is strong. What is going on? Are you going to get attacked by your mic?
I don't know.
You're fighting it.
I went and got my haircut this morning. I think one of the loose hairs found the mic and it was like poking my face. It's gone.
Looks like we're
good now.
You look like you'd seen a bee and you were trying to fight it off.
I know, right? Like, yeah.
Oh, that was aggressive. Everybody said at the beginning of this, though, that there was no ads this year. Like, oh, it's great. There's no ads. I think they made up for it.
The final 3 weeks, there was 10 times more.
I was waiting for somebody to walk into the bathroom when I was taking a dump and hey, yo, just why you got you for a second. Get out of my bathroom.
Speaking of dump, how about Humpty Dumpty?
Oh, man, I'm surprised you went there.
Well, I'm saving the best for last.
I figured when I said dump, I was going to open the door for my fantasy football team.
Well,
Humpty Dumpty's gone.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, Humpty Dumpty was my race car. We used to joke about it because Humpty Dumpty had to get put back together all a bunch. But we couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. It's done after the rollover. We got rid of it. That mic is attacking him again.
I may not have got the first one.
Yeah, that was good.
Sorry.
It's great. We're on attack 2.
So you couldn't put it back together, obviously.
No, it's broken.
What are they going to do with it?
I don't know. Probably going to cut it up. Take the good portion of the halo, the cage.
Yeah.
And probably reuse it in another race car.
Well, isn't that the part that took the most abuse as you rolled it?
Actually, believe it or not, no. Like the cage took very little damage. It held up really well. I guess I should say that. Like, I don't know how many times the cage actually hit, but I can tell you that the front end definitely took a lot. The back end took a lot. My seat mount actually bent, believe it or not. Like, I hit so violently, the metal tubes that my seat bolts to actually bent.
That's impressive.
Yeah, like it bent the seat, it bent the tubes. Like, yeah. It was,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like as when you roll over that
right.
fast, like you hit the top corner.
That's why I got rid of it. I'm not going to risk it. Like, I figured, you know what? I got 2 little boys at home, and I'll just build a new frame. I'm not gonna risk my life.
Messing around with that, yeah.
No reason to.
So back to crapping. How'd your football team do this week?
It crapped.
Just a little bit less crappy than mine.
Yeah, I played Nick this week, and I got beat.
How's that feel?
It didn't feel great. I'll tell you that much.
You don't like it.
I did
I
like it.
feel like there's 2 or 3 people you want to beat every time you play them, and
You are one of them. Yes, you are definitely one of them.
Wasn't your
just because I didn't want to have to hear it all week long.
I would never do that. On this show, yes, maybe. But
It's unfortunate. We had 8 turnovers between our 2 quarterbacks.
quarterbacks were hot garbage.
And I was at one point just hoping they would bench my quarterback. If they would have benched my quarterback, I would have won.
Yeah, you wouldn't have lost any more points on those last 2 interceptions, huh?
I would have won. I would have won if they would have just
Give it
benched
that
my
way.
quarterback.
I mean, or if you just would have played the right players.
That too.
But
I
we don't need
definitely
to
put in
talk
the
about
wrong wide receiver.
That happens.
So thanks for bringing that
We've all
up.
been there.
Yeah, felt like a political ad there. Just dump.
Yeah, it was not good.
But we do have to, real quick, while we were on the race car topic, I do want to give a congratulations to Junior Motorsports on their championship. They obviously choose ShopSabre, and we're a big supporter of them. Want to give a shout out to Justin Allgaier and his team. Want to get a shout out to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his entire company. It takes something special to be able to win at that level. It takes something even bigger to be able to be a champion at that level. So congratulations to you all. We're really proud to be along for the ride. Obviously, we appreciate you choosing our equipment to be a part of it. And I mean, I think it's kind of done it without us kind of a deal,
Pretty
right?
much, yeah. I don't think so. I mean, without those
I'm kidding.
precision cuts on all those metal parts they use. I mean,
Yeah, they are very talented over there, but we're proud to be a tool of choice there. And for all you motorheads, PRI is coming up in 3 weeks, so you can choose that tool that they use to win a championship to win your championship next summer.
do you have everything all ready for our trip to PRI?
I do not, and you used we. Are you speaking French?
Well, yeah, I thought we had to do a live podcast from the floor of the PRI show.
We are not.
Dang it.
We are not going there.
That's okay. I'd rather stay home for this one and go back to Vegas with you guys next time you go. So we'll just plan for that.
Okay,
Thanks.
we'll just plan on that. Okay, got it. We'll have you in Vegas next
If
year.
I'm still here by then. You never know.
Ooh.
I'm just kidding. I'm only
Wow.
having fun.
Jeez. Maybe you're getting a new position on that children's show, huh?
Oh, we have Barney the Big Purple Dinosaur?
Yeah.
Jeez. I wear a pink sweatshirt and it's too bright. Now he's calling me a dinosaur. No
You got a
respect.
very Barney colored shirt on.
It's about as purple as your eye that you got punched in.
Oh my God. I didn't get punched in the eye.
That's good. Sorry, I didn't need to bring that up. We can move along to the customer questions.
Got a
of the week.
little bit of a mark on my eye and he thinks I got punched.
Just
did
left
not.
over from the race car crash.
My wife was angry that I bought another race car. What can I say?
I won't tell
Just for the
anybody.
record,
Your
everybody, I'm
secret's
safe at
with
home.
me.
I'm safe at home. Nobody call. My wife did not hit me. Yeah, let's move on. This is dead.
You
killed
said it, not me.
You killed it. You killed this episode.
It happens pretty much weekly.
Customer comments and questions. I'm leaving you in the dust. Question number 1 of the day was about our ISA. Actually, question 1 and 2 are going to be about the ISA, but
How many questions we have this week?
4.
Maybe 5.
Ooh, you got a question apparently. What about flip side or 2-sided operation on the ISA? You can absolutely do it for the record. It's not a problem. Just like any of the ShopSabre machines, it's something you can do. It's just about programming. A lot of people will use Mosaic or KCD to do that. But the benefits of like the ISA, for example, is it's ball screw driven on all axes. So it's got a really high repeatability and it has sheet alignment pins. So it gives you a great point of reference for when you do flip that sheet. But you're going to need to flip the sheet before you process your next one. And that's, I guess, the limiting factor there is that the machine, the ISA specifically, is designed for rapid production. And I mean, it has the ability to produce over 100 sheets an hour. So you're slowing the machine down by manually flipping sheets and doing some of that. So generally speaking, when it gets to that, you're not doing a lot of flip side operation on that machine that way. Now, what I have seen people do is, they'll program one side and then have the pusher unload it. They bring that sheet to the other, to a load that they're going to put into the machine next. So that way they're not slowing the machine down and then they have a second sheet of flip side stuff. But it can be done. The machine isn't going to flip the sheet, of course, but yeah, it just comes down to, programming it in your software and, obviously choosing if you need to be able to, rapid produce parts or if you're okay with slowing things down to do a little bit of manual flipping. So yeah, there's the answer to that question.
That brings up my question then.
Okay.
And I probably should know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
That's fair.
2-sided operations, is it just, putting like same design on the back side of a door?
No,
It's like the front side or?
No, I mean, it could be, I suppose. But most people, when you're looking at 2-sided operations, it's really popular in things like cabinetry, especially like a center cabinet, where you're going to have your dado on both sides of it. Sure. So that way you can slide like the back of the cabinet in on both sides. Yep. So that's where you see a lot of it, is like having a dado on the back of it, or like on doors as an example, if you're doing like a hinge pocket. So you can put the actual hinge into the door and then have the design on the front of the door. So that's where you see that in some cases.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know. Now you know. Look at that. Education.
Knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. Remembering it's the other half.
G.I. Joe once said that.
Did he?
Remember that at the end of the cartoon all the time?
Don't remember it.
Oh,
sorry.
I have to watch it someday.
I'll have to go watch it. I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to watch G.I. Joe.
Perfect.
Question 2-3, because now it's 3. Will the weight of the ATC on the z-axis of the ISA cause the problem for wear in the real world? No. Simple answer. Our machines are actually built for real world use, not for showroom simulation. When we build product here, we build them with a purpose. We don't just build product to build products. So, we're not an importer. You maybe in an import machine, you could be concerned with that because they're just building mass production. We're actually building a product we're going to support for life. So specifically when we're going to support it for life, we're going to try to break it first. So we do a really good job here of testing our own products, but when we design them with FEA technology, which is finite element analysis, for all of you wondering what that means. And it takes into account the real world. So it puts in forces and takes into consideration weights and inertia and all that stuff. And so when we build our machines and we develop the processes, we do it with the process of what is our end goal. And so then once we build the machine, we run the hell out of them. Like, we beat them up here. We've done some stuff with machines here that I won't even talk about because we've done stuff that we do not approve, but we've done it just to see, like, if somebody does this, what happens to the machine? And we've done some pretty crazy, my brother's pretty crazy when it comes to like testing machines. So we've done some stuff with, even the frames, like beating them up and trying stuff just to see what it takes to bend a frame, So we do stuff that you should never be doing, and a lot of times it survives what we're doing. So if we can make it survive, generally, you're going to be in a better position. So again, this is where our upgraded Z technology, the Super Z technology, comes from. This is where, the oversized gantry designs and the frame, sizes and all of the stuff we do, the ball screw technology, why we use all the stuff we do. Yes, there's cheaper ways we can build machines. There's certainly ways to cut corners. We've never been a company about trying to cut corners. I think we've proven that. If we wanted to cut corners, we'd be shipping stuff overseas and buying stuff there. I mean, we don't need to cut corners. We're going to build it in-house and build it to last because we're going to support it for life. So no, I don't see that tool changer being any issue for long-term wear. Question 3-4.
Now you're really confused every time you say it.
I know, I was confused. 4. Do you offer carve files for purchase? We don't. We don't sell files here at ShopSabre. There's hundreds of places online that you can go buy software and software files. We have a few that we give away, like the dinosaur file and whatnot. But no, we don't sell files. We don't have anything like that. So yeah, if you're looking for files, make sure you go out and check out the old Google. I'm sure you can find a bunch of stuff there, but we have a select few number of files that we can get you, but yeah. And then our final question of the day is, any luck on getting the software to work with angle iron on the tube cutter? We have no problem with processing angle iron on the tube cutter, but you are correct. There is a limitation when it comes to CAM software. The included software is the Hypertherm Rotary Tube Pro software. So the question really would be better directed towards their development team. I don't know that they have finalized that. I know they're working on it, but the machine itself has no problem with angle iron. That's the part that we control, but there are hundreds of different things you can choose from when it comes to designs and ways that you process things, but you just have to find something that works for you. There are different CAM programs out there. The one we include just happens to be Hypertherm's Rotary Tube Pro. But again, if you find a software that you like and it has it in there, there's a good chance it's going to work with this machine and you'll be able to process it. So hopefully that answers your question.
Sounds like a good answer to me.
Good enough answer for me is what he says.
C's get degrees.
The audience question of the week. Why do you listen to this show? I'm going to follow up his ridiculous statement of C's get degrees with, why do you listen to us? Why do you tune in every week? We just want to hear from you. Like, I want to hear, honestly, why do you tune in, and what about Talking Shop makes you go, you know what, I'm going to listen to next week's episodes? Or why did you listen this week? Did somebody tell you to check us out? Like, what has you sitting here right now listening to us? I'd love to hear your comment on why.
They're trying to take a nap.
They're trying to take a nap. You guys are so boring. You put me to sleep, so it works.
88.7% of the replies are going to be because of me. That's why they listen.
88.7% because of you.
Yes.
And then the other 12% because of Chad.
Sure.
That
Or because Travis is no longer on here.
That's over 100%, in case you're wondering.
What'd you say?
12%.
That'd be 100.7.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
I got you.
It's about how many points you lost by this week, huh?
Son of a gun. I lost by 6. This is never going to end. This is why I hate fantasy football. I'm done playing fantasy football.
It's almost over.
Thank God.
Especially for you when you don't make
I got
the
a
playoffs.
I got a fantasy football team for sale. Anybody wants to buy it? It's real cheap.
It's in better shape than his race car.
Just full of them this week. All right, we're going to
wait till the end of the show.
We're going to move on. This week's episode is called Creating Your Own Path Forward, and it's about taking control of your career and business.
It's still recording. Just want to check. This is where we got to last time, and it wasn't recording, so.
Sometimes we get to this part, and then we get to start over. It's kind of cool. It's like we do things nice because we do things twice.
Not like we have anything better to do.
That's true. Not like selling machines is important or anything. Yeah. Today we're going to dive into this topic. I think it resonates with really anyone looking to make an impact, right? Whether it be running your own business or managing a team or looking to grow in your career, it's about creating your own path forward. And really, truth is, no matter what industry you're in, signs, automotive, whatever, it doesn't matter. The journey to success rarely follows a straight line, right? Everything that you encounter is going to be a different curve or hurdle or whatnot. And you can learn to navigate things, and really, if you can learn to navigate them and adapt with them and build a path that aligns with your goals, you'll not only reach those milestones that you're after faster, but with greater satisfaction. And I think that's the biggest piece of that. It's not about the speed that you reach it sometimes. It's about the fact that you got there, right? Yep. How many people give up before they ever get there because the road just gets too hard, right?
Probably more than that should.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is just keep going, right? And today we're going to break down what it means to create your own path, the practical steps to make it happen, and how a proactive approach can be the greatest asset you can have, right? And let's just start off with, talking about why it's so important to control your career path or your business path. Maybe you're in a role that's okay for you, right? You're content, but it's not exactly thrilling anymore, right?
Yep.
How many people have been in that for a career field where you're sitting there and you're like, you know what, this is okay, but it doesn't excite me anymore. Or perhaps you're running your business and the vision you had isn't quite playing out, right? How many business owners are like, man, this is what I thought it would be, right?
Yeah.
But taking control can become very powerful. And I think that's the biggest thing here is, for one, you got to build authentic fulfillment, right? And what does that mean? When you actively shape your path, right, you're more likely to find work that's meaningful, right? You're not just doing something to do it, but you're doing something that you're actually excited by genuinely, right? And it aligns with your goals, right? So this isn't just about feeling good. It's about sustaining motivation, right? Finding a reason to get up every day and do it and find the energy to continuously push forward, even in the challenging times. Because I think that's the biggest thing is staying resilient, right?
Yep.
You have to be resilient when things get tough, because every business, every job, I don't care who you are, like they always say the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Like it's not. The reality is the grass is green wherever you water it.
Well, and I think it's what you make of it.
Right.
I mean,
and that's what I'm saying. If you take care of it, there's going to be tough times, but when you're working towards something that truly matters to you, it doesn't feel like work. And I think that's what's important is like, even the hard days will feel worthwhile if you're passionate about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the biggest thing that I can give is because for me, like I can tell you right now, ShopSabre's not always been easy, and it's not always easy. There's days that I get my butt kicked, but every day feels rewarding to me because I know that I've accomplished something towards our goal.
I think at the end of the day, when you can look back and look on those things that have actually been a positive influence, even when there's been some struggles,
right?
That's what you got to focus on. I mean, focus on the positives to move forward to the next day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, adaptability is a big part of this too, right? Adaptability and, future readiness, if you will, is the way you can put adaptability. It's creating a path that means that you can pivot on the fly, right? That not every path is set in stone. Sometimes you're going to have to change directions, and industries change. That's the one thing I always remind people, like your industry is going to change. I mean, how many people have told me over the years that we don't cut MDF doors? And then they end up cutting MDF doors because as the industry's changed and the customer tells you that's what they want, you're going to cut whatever they ask for, right?
Yep.
And, the technology evolves. Well, we don't cut MDF doors because we couldn't before, right? But now with technology, it makes it a lot easier to make MDF doors than it was before. And, you start to look at staying in control of like the path that you're going, right? And the flexibility to truly, adjust your strategy on the fly.
And I think you have to have that willingness to go down a different path that isn't what you always do day in, day out,
Yeah,
right?
you have to learn a new skill. That's the biggest thing. Like sometimes you can't just stay complacent, right? You got to learn stuff. You got to learn a new skill. You got to stay competitive to the market. And sometimes it means you do something that you've never done before because it's the only way that you're going to find a path forward.
Yep.
And, it's about being ready for opportunities before they knock on your door. Because I think that's, you're too late. If the opportunity, they always say like, be ready when an opportunity knocks, right? But I think like, that's true. You have to be ready before that opportunity presents itself, because if it presents itself and you're not ready, you might lose that opportunity.
Right.
Specifically, like a big company comes up to you and says, hey, I know you did so-and-so's house, right? Their closet turned out phenomenal. I got 47 closets I need done for this job coming up, and you're doing it by hand.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to say yes to that job? Probably not.
No.
Or if you're like, well, yeah, no problem, but I'm going to have to get some equipment. Well, we don't have time to wait. Right? The opportunity presents itself. You need to be ready for it. So sometimes it's about investing in your future or investing in your business so that way you can grow it and scale it. It's not about waiting until you're ready to grow and scale it and then investing. It's investing before that happens, right?
And then you can confidently say yes to those jobs.
Right.
And not just say, yeah, sure, but it might not be done when you need it.
Right.
It might need some more time.
Yeah. And, it's about breaking that ceiling of growth. Because if you follow a path that someone else has laid out for you, right? If somebody else told you what to do, there's often limitations to how far you can go or how high you can go, because eventually you're going to run into that ceiling, right? So taking ownership of your career or your business means that you set the bar where it's going to be, right? You can raise the bar because you're in control of that. You're not limited by somebody else telling you what you can or cannot do, right? And that's where I start to look at it, expanding your business, taking on new projects, reaching a new leadership role. Maybe that's, maybe you're a listener in this and you're like, hey, I've been in the shop forever and I want to get to a leadership role. Like sometimes it's, the thing that I read online one day, and I don't remember when I read this, but it's always kind of resonated with me, is it's about sports. I'm a part of a bunch of different coaching things, right? Because I used to coach a lot of sports. And so I always tried to like find motivation to like pass on to the kids. And one thing that I read that stuck with me was the captains don't wait to be a captain, until they announce it.
Yeah.
They act like a captain well before the announcements are made. And it's about being that leader, right? And finding how you can push the ceiling forward or how you can motivate people around you or help people. That's a true captain. That's how captains become captains or leaders become leaders, is they're doing things that aren't expected of them before they were expected.
And it makes it easy for those people to label them that, right?
Well,
because they've done it for so long that it naturally just falls on them to be that person.
I think the biggest thing is you have to consider like those around you, right? If you're working in a group of 5 people and all 5 of you have the same job title or a very similar job title or a same ranking, and they're going to promote you, how can they justify it to those around them?
Yeah.
If you make it easy that like when they promote you, everybody around goes, makes sense. Yep. Like guy always did it. Like it's justifiable. It makes it easier for you to get to that point.
It doesn't raise any questions.
Right. Because everybody bought into it already. So I think that's where you have to remember that. And, you got to break down some of those actionable steps that you could take right now to start crafting your own path. And I think that's the first thing we got to do, is whether you're leading a team, you're running this business that we're talking about, or you're building your own career right now, what are the steps that you can take to control your own path? And I think the first one is clarify your vision. You have to know what you're aiming for, right? Nobody takes off running with their eyes closed.
No.
You generally are looking where you're going, right?
Usually.
So what's your end goal? Start there. Like start at what you're trying to accomplish. It could be, maybe it's financial independence, right? There's a lot of people that when they buy CNC machines, I ask them like, what's your goal? And you'd be shocked how many people don't have an answer for that. Like, is it financially independent? Is it becoming an industry leader? Are you trying to grow your business, right? We're trying to become the supreme leader in signs, right? Or are you developing a new niche, right? Are you trying to like, hey, we really want to get into building the best pantries around, right? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, your vision acts as your guide, because once we understand where you're trying to go, it can help you make the decisions on the intentions, right?
Yep.
So rather than just like reacting to whatever comes your way, like as an example, if you call me up and ask for a CNC machine, I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to say, where are you trying to go? What is your end goal? Because it's going to help me determine like which options should we quote.
Correct.
Because I need to know what you're trying to, other than just selling you a cookie cutter machine. But like, it blows me away how many people don't expect the sales guy to ask questions. Just quote me something.
Well, great, but if we just quote you something that doesn't work, it does no good for what you're trying to do, right?
Well, it helps me.
Well,
like,
sure, you
that's
sell
what
a machine.
Yeah, that's what blows me away. Like, you're literally telling me, just sell me something. Well, I could sell you something, but it might not work for you.
And then a week after you get your machine, you're like, this isn't even close to doing what I wanted to do.
Right.
Like,
and that's the thing. So like, that's where I come from, is it's like, it's not about that. It's, to me, it's, we really need to understand the clear vision of where we're trying to go, right? And then we need to identify your unique strengths and values, right? So that's the next thing. Understand what sets you or your business apart from everybody else. It's crucial. Like, why you? And I always ask employees that too. That's a question I ask in every interview. At the end of every interview, I always finish up with one question. I'm going to interview several people for this position. Give me an explanation of why you. And I just want to hear what they have to say.
Yep.
And again, you'd be shocked how many people can't answer that question either. You know, maybe it's, you know, a personalized service that you offer. It's a special set of skills that you have. And that's my favorite thing when I ask that question, is hearing what people have to say, because sometimes you get a really good answer. They're like, you know, you will not find somebody that is more capable than me in this, right? And they name whatever that skill is. And it's like, that's selling yourself. It's building value that I might not find elsewhere. And then, you know, maybe it's a new approach to an old process, right? Think about that. Like, how many people, when CNC machines started to kind of come about, and, you know, we're telling you that you're not going to cut doors with CNC machines, and now majority of people cut their doors on a machine. You know, it's identifying and leaning into these strengths that will actually help you grow, though. You can differentiate yourself and create a path that leverages your unique capabilities simply by understanding what your unique capabilities are, right?
I think especially in like the world we live in today, there's so many people that do the same types of things. You got to give people a reason to select you, right?
Right.
I mean, you could go and get the same thing from 10 different people in the same town. Like, why should I do it with you?
Well, I think that's a big thing too when you think about that. Like, in today's world, the internet has made it easier to find people.
For sure.
So like, you don't stand out of the crowd as much anymore, because type in cabinet maker in Google one time, or type in sign maker into Google one time. How many people are going to pop up?
You'll find 100 of them within, 3 towns of you, either direction type of thing. Do that. I mean, we do that with everything. I mean, you do it with, restaurants, right? Places to take your kids to do. I mean, it's simple to find a million different things or people that do the same thing. And
that's the thing, is you have to really be willing to set yourself out, right? Why are we different? And that's the big thing. Like, why is ShopSabre different? Mm-hmm. Well, we're an American manufacturer that provides support, and we utilize technology not found commonly in machines for similar price.
Right.
Like, I can tell you clearly what sets us apart. Can you, if I asked you today, what sets your cabinet business, your sign business, your fabrication business apart from everybody else, can you tell me what that is?
How many people do you think would really have a good answer?
I don't know. I'd love to get a panel of people in front of us sometime and just ask them questions, because I really believe like people would be shocked at how much they don't think about in their own business.
You just kind of get in that, tunnel vision of what you're doing. And
this works, so I'm going to keep doing it kind of thing.
Yeah, no reason to change.
Yeah, and you got to be willing to invest too. I think that's another thing, is being willing to invest in yourself and your business. Whether it's money or if it's time, right? Sometimes it's just investing time, but making a sacrifice that right now seems like a sacrifice, but reaps a bigger reward down the road, right?
Yep.
And investing in high quality equipment is a big part of that. As we talked about, ShopSabre machines, as an example, can be a huge step forward in leveling up your product and capabilities. And yes, there are cheaper machines, and yes, you can buy something used. There's so many ways you get into CNC machines, but similarly, investing in this equipment, yeah, it's a little bit of a more expense than maybe you want to right away, but you're investing in, now you get the training, you get the support, and there's so much more that comes along with it that levels you up down the road. So it gives you the advantage over every other person who chose to maybe go a different route. And I think that's the biggest advantage that you have. And some of it, it's like investing in training or professionalized development in investments, right? Yep. You're making an investment in yourself. You're future-proofing your career, your business, because should something happen, how many businesses during COVID were able to stay employed because they had CNC technology to be able to start cutting, safety barriers and doing things that otherwise, if they didn't have that, they wouldn't be able to do. Correct. And so it's future-proofing your business from trends, right?
I don't know. I know we haven't gotten through the whole list, but I think that's probably, to me, the most important one. Right. I mean, it's not just all going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, investing your time is a really good one, because we hear stories all the time about these guys that invest time into getting, and then they, like the guy that had Christmas off with his family. That's something that always keeps resonating with me all the time. Like, he never would have done that before, but now he invested the time in getting that stuff working, and then he gets that free time back.
He gets his time back. Exactly. Yep. And that's exactly it. The other thing you got to do is surround yourself with like mentors and peers.
Yep.
Like, that's my big thing. Like, the employees around you, or the leaders around you, or the people who are around you, I don't think in this world anybody can do anything alone, truly.
No.
Like, yeah, you can say you're a loner and you do a lot of stuff on your own, but I really believe that if you put the right people around you, whether it's be mentors, peers, colleagues, bosses, whoever, it makes that path that you're on a lot more navigatable, right? Navigatable, because they have skills that you're otherwise missing, and might be able to help you see through difficult times, or provide insight or feedback on something that maybe you're not as good at. And some of it's just about accountability. That's my personal favorite. Like, when you have the right group of people around you, or your friends or your family, or whatever, they hold you accountable.
Yep.
They give you a reason to keep going when you don't want to keep going. It's easy to give up. I mean, that's what I always remind my kids. The easiest thing you can do is give up.
Yep.
So we don't take the easy road.
And I think you need to be open-minded enough to take any feedback, criticism the right way.
Yeah.
Just take it as, helpful, and not like a criticism or trying to knock you down.
And sometimes it's just like, it's to help you avoid pitfalls, right?
Yep.
Or to help you see an opportunity that's right in front of you, but sometimes you've looked so many times at something, you just miss it. So, sometimes they just point out things that you otherwise maybe don't see as clearly, and it's so obvious to them. So sometimes it's just helpful to ask questions, to your peers or your colleagues, and see how they handle a situation. And I think that sometimes that can go a long way. And then, of course, you have to embrace the learning and the adaptability. It's kind of what you said there. You have to, you have to be willing to change. If the industry changes, you have to be willing to embrace it. You also have to be willing to embrace information that's given to you. Don't take it as a criticism negatively. Take it as new knowledge that you're gaining, right?
Yep.
A new skill that you can work on, or, a soft skill like leadership, right? Something like that. And, communication. It's an opportunity. So by staying open to learning, I think you can grow immensely. I think that's the biggest thing, is that, growth through learning or through education is the biggest thing. And then, you build resilience through, having knowledge and skills. So, I think no matter what, obstacle that comes towards you, that you find some momentum to work through it.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I think that's, the biggest thing to consider when you get to that. And then, obviously creating your own path is never going to be easy. And there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be challenges. There's no doubt about it. Self-doubt and, imposter syndrome is something that I always caution people of. It's an obstacle that will get you, because many people don't feel like they belong, or that they aren't ready for certain things. And that self-doubt is the biggest thing that can take out a business or take out a career, right?
100%.
It's, my advice has always just been, just start. Just do it. Because confidence comes from doing it.
For sure.
And surrounding yourself with positive, supportive voices, and remembering that you're not going to hit a home run every time you swing the bat, right? You don't need to know it all. Sometimes it's okay just to get started. Like, you're learning on the fly. And I've reminded, sales guys of that, because a lot of sales guys, they come into a new position, specifically when I hire a sales guy. I hire people who are consultants, and then I teach them. I don't tell them to read from a manual. I actually put them on the floor to learn the machines.
Yep.
And part of that is because I want them to learn it. So it's okay when they're talking to a customer and they don't know an answer. I tell them, just tell the customer you don't know the answer. Tell them you don't know. And then let's find out the information that they're asking you.
Right.
Because it's so much better to just not know it than to pretend you're a know-it-all.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so, and the other thing is, the financial risk side of it, I think that's a big thing that holds people up, is that, their resources are limited, right? They say they're limited in what they have available. But when you're investing in yourself or your business, there's always going to be some sort of financial component to it, right? Like, there is. It just is what it is. But a smart approach is prioritizing the investments that are going to provide the strongest return, right? So start, you don't have to go big. You don't have to invest $1 million right away. Find out the most cost-effective way to get started. For example, investing is efficient, reliable equipment can be huge. Like it's going for, okay, what product is going to get me the best return on my investment, right? Again, you look at a ShopSabre versus some of these other products, right? Sometimes it's about which product, if I don't make it, holds the highest resale value.
Right.
Sometimes, it's simple. If you're so worried about failing, which product is going to be the easiest to sell? The name brand product, right?
Absolutely.
Versus some Chinese knockoff thing, right?
Yeah. And I think too, allowing yourself to have the, like you talked about earlier, the room to level up.
Right.
Like you can always invest in something that isn't necessarily like the top level where you see yourself being at in 5 years or 10 years. Like get yourself in the door with something that's going to work and do your stuff efficiently.
Yep.
And then level up to the next one that's going to take you to that next spot.
Not many people's first car is a Ferrari.
Nope.
Right? It's okay to like start and then move your way up. So you don't have to buy everything with all the bells and whistles. The ShopSabre is a perfect example of this. We could sell you a machine with more scaled back components. So you get started with a ShopSabre and then you add on the features that you need later on, right?
Yep.
And so there's some opportunity there is, taking the right financial risks, right? Take the risk on the right machine and then add the options as you grow versus buying a machine with no reputation or support, but has all the bells and whistles. That's probably a poor financial investment, right?
Yep.
It might work out, but it's a huge risk. And, and then you start looking at the time management that goes along with that, right? And the burnout that can come along with that, if you're really building your own path, right? And you're going through it. It's easy to burn yourself out because you're trying to do it all.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to set boundaries. And I think that's the biggest thing is like for me, I used to do that at the beginning, when my career was young, as I used to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and burnout was real.
Oh yeah.
And I had a hard time prioritizing tasks. I used to respond to messages at 3:00 in the morning every day. And like, it got to me, it caught up. And I had to start delegating. And that's where like expanding this team and having more people involved and, finding a balance. It's not easy, but sometimes, pacing yourself is key to maintaining energy and passion for the long run because you burn yourself out and eventually you just lose all enthusiasm about what you're doing.
For sure. I think the biggest thing too is allowing people to help you.
Yeah.
Like don't always think that you have to do it all on your own. Like be willing to let people that want to help you help you through those things.
Yeah, I think that's a good, it's a good point because having people around you is super helpful, but also sometimes you have to be resistant to others as well because sometimes you're gonna have a path that others just don't understand and they don't see it, right? And maybe it's family. That's the hardest when it's your family like that doubt you, right? Yeah. Or, colleagues who are like, that's never gonna work. Or, friends who are questioning your decision making. Why aren't you coming to the bar with us tonight instead of work at, like how many times do you hear that, right? Yeah. Where it's that peer pressure and they're thinking you're taking too big of a risk. Well, why would you buy that right now? You know your vision. You know where you're going. So stay focused on your vision because they don't always see it, right?
Right.
And remember that every successful entrepreneur, and I mean this, every successful entrepreneur, every leader, every innovator, and as far as you can go back, you will find this to be true, faced someone who formed doubt on them.
Absolutely.
100% of people that are successful find somebody in their life who bet against them.
And you know what they do? They use it as motivation.
Right. What matters is really that you still believe, right? Yep. And, it's that path that you're creating that really matters to you, not to them. So of course they're going to doubt it because to be honest, the thing I found in life, a large majority of people you meet don't want you to be more successful than them.
Correct.
So they're going to do what they can to make sure you aren't. So I always remind people, I'm not the same. Like I'm not the same as you because I'm one of probably the few people, and I truly believe that in my life, I've met very, very few people are like myself where I'd rather make people more successful than me because I find pride in that.
For sure. And
I love success stories.
You can still be successful when other people are as successful or more successful. It doesn't matter.
Right. My dad used to say it. You can have anything you want in this world as long as you help enough people get what they want. And that's how I've always prioritized life. I have to help people before I get what I want. Versus other people are always like, what can I get from them before I help? Right? Like, I think that's the mentality difference. Is that just the way I was raised? But, when you look at it, a couple quick examples is like, small business owners who invest in the CNC technology. I think that's what I can use as an example. Is I have many customers I've sold to over the years, but, one business owner that comes to mind is, one that made a choice to buy a CNC machine early on, right? Very early on in their business. And it allowed his business to become, more efficient, but also customizable. He was able to build products that are high quality, but customizable. And his competitors just couldn't keep up with him. And right out of the gate, he started to take over that market. He ended up owning, I think it was 9 ShopSabres at one point. And it was all on a leap of faith. Like him and his wife quit their jobs to go do this. And so it obviously paid off. It established themselves pretty substantially in the industry, and they made a lot of money doing it, But it wouldn't have happened if they hadn't taken that risk on themselves, right?
Yep.
And, I think you have to think about, how many times have you heard about people who've tried jumping from one field to another, right? I have a customer of mine who was in law enforcement for many, many years, right? But he transitioned into manufacturing through CNC because he spent many years honing in his skills in a wood shop, right? He wood and metal and whatnot. He always had like a passion for that, but it wasn't his career. And then finally he said, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to do it as a career. Yep. And he turned it into it. And I mean, he has a very successful business now, and he's been out of law enforcement now for many years, but he's considers himself more successful in that world than he was in law enforcement.
Just because he put in all that time ahead of time.
The energy and the time.
Right into it.
Like it's just, it's about, like I said, staying patient and being consistent. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Neither is your successful career or business going to be. I think today's world, YouTube creates that, right? I think that's the problem with YouTube and Facebook and, social media is everybody believes everybody achieves everything today.
Right.
But it's a small majority of people that ever do that. But, small wins along the way and, consistency is going to beat, that doubt that you're going to cast on yourself. Right. And the intensity over, the long haul will stay there if you have that passion. Right. And so you need to be, clear about your why. You have to remember, when you know why you're doing something, it's easier to stay motivated and focused. So something I've taught my sales team a lot of times, and I hope you guys can take this away. Anybody listening to this, pass this on to your sales team, is make them print out today. Go up to them today and say, what are you working for? And make them print it out. If you walk around our cubes, every sales guy has a picture in front of them. Yep. I make them print it out. I give them a goal because I tell them there's going to be a day that you're going to want to give up. Something's going to happen in your personal life, your professional life, whatever. Somebody's going to say something to you that's going to make you doubt yourself. And some jerk on the phone is going to try to get under your skin by saying you're not very good at your job because he didn't get what he wanted.
Yep.
Look at why you're doing it. Whether it's your family, whether it's you're buying a new house, a fancy car, whatever it is. But sometimes you just need to understand your why. What's driving me forward? Why am I here? Maybe it's just leaving a legacy, right? Sometimes it's that. Like my dad, I believe that's his thing. He wants to build a legacy, right? Having that why fuels you when you need it, right? And then adapt and evolve as needed. I think that's the biggest thing is as you move forward, you may find your path change. It's okay. Sometimes your vision has to change a little bit. Stay open to adapting your goals as you learn more and grow. And, remember, even the best plans need adjustment along the way, no matter what. Yep, it's still recording there. I saw you look at the light again. But enjoy the journey. That's the one thing I can tell everybody is, creating your own path is about the journey, not the destination, right? It's embrace the learning, celebrate the growth, the wins. Don't be afraid to celebrate your wins because you're going to need to, because some days you're going to have challenges and you're going to, want those wins. So, stay curious. Continuously look at your career path and your business and your story and find out, how can I keep writing this story, right? How do I keep going? Make your story something that somebody wants to read. And that's something that I truly believe. If your life was a book today, would somebody read it? Think about that. So that's this week's episode. I'm going to jump forward unless you got anything to add to that one.
No, that was really good.
So
I enjoyed that one.
No, I think my hope is it just motivates somebody to go out and do something that they were afraid to do. Invest in yourself. Go do it. We're going to jump into this one. The internet is broken.
Still?
It's still broken.
It's been a long time.
In our country, I'm both embarrassed and sad for what I've witnessed over the last week. I think the thing I always remind is that, here in the United States, we're supposed to be Americans, right? We're supposed to be able to express ourselves, freedom, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of choice, right? Freedom of religion, freedom of everything, right?
Yep.
Freedom is a big thing that we always talk about in the United States. But yet, it's so ugly how some people express themselves after they win or how they lose, the ugliness of both sides, winning and losing. There's a small middle ground, but like, we're obviously referring to the election, whether you won or lost, your candidate, the ugliness of it was something that like just proves the internet's broken. The attacks, the things that the people say to each other, what I saw online following that is embarrassing for many. Like, you win or lose, you need to do it with some integrity.
Yep.
Because we all still need to be there for each other at the end of the day. Like, we're still Americans, we're still dependent on one another. Like, my best friends and I may not see the same eye to eye, but I'll promise you one thing: I'm never going to toss a relationship of mine out the window
100%.
over what their beliefs are. Like, if it doesn't truly negatively affect my family, and I get it, people are going to argue with me, oh, it does though. It's going to affect, like, unless you are like, you walk up and punch my child in the face, I'm going to allow you your beliefs, and at least I'm going to try to have an educated conversation with you and try to have you see my side of it. But I'm definitely not going to do it the way I've seen people do it.
100%.
The internet's broken.
I think it really too kind of shows the real of some people.
Right.
Like,
right.
If this is how you're willing to act, like, towards people, like,
publicly,
it's not really somebody that I want to necessarily associate. And again, that's both sides of it. Like,
right.
No matter how you're, like, just don't treat people. What is going on over there?
My mic's falling apart again.
Golly. What the hell was I just saying? Oh, just
nobody knows.
I feel like if you're treating people with disrespect online in public, or everybody's going to see it. You're not going to be any different when you're not in public. Like, you're going to treat people. It's like that. It's just not people you want to associate yourself with.
Right.
You kind of just see the real of people when that kind of stuff happens. Unfortunately,
internet's broken. It's ridiculous comments that I saw all week long. I couldn't pick one, so I just picked the internet in general. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. This week's motivational quote: "You don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. Just take the next step." And it goes back to this week's episode, just of, you don't have to have it figured out to try something, right? Like, hey, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to try it. We're going to figure this out along the way. And sometimes that's part of the journey, figuring it out. Trust me, if I didn't start racing until I had it figured out, I would have never started racing. I didn't know anything about race cars. I didn't know anything about the setups. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to go out and see how bad I am, and we'll figure it out from there, right? Like,
but as long as you're having fun, who cares?
And that's exactly it. Like, enjoy it, because life is short. At the end, we all leave with the same thing. So you might as well enjoy the journey.
Yep.
So,
I hear you.
Yeah, that's this week's motivational quote: is you don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. Just take the next step. Final thoughts of the week. All right, final thoughts.
For this.
You want to take it away, or you want me to? Okay, me first. So my final thought is, no matter what challenges are in your life right now, they're just a moment. And I always remind people, take a look at like 5 years down the road. What you're stressing about today, will it matter in 5 years? Because a large majority of people, I think, can learn from that thought process, is that we stress about things that a lot of times we won't remember in a week. And it's like, don't wreck everything you've built and everything that you're going through, right now. Don't let it affect where you're going in life. Like, allow you, the chance to succeed. Stop doubting yourself. Yeah, you might have a bad day, but it's okay to like keep building. Sometimes you drop the blocks and you got to pick them back up and rebuild, right? But it's about like remembering, like, life's a journey. Like, there's no end. There's no end game that you like have to have. Like, there's no like written in stone, this is the way it has to end. Like, no, just keep moving.
Yep.
You're going to fail along the way. You're going to succeed along the way. Celebrate your victories. Move on from your failures. Like, there'll be other victories along the way. Like, just keep going.
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, to piggyback off that is kind of what I had. I have two things, actually.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited.
The first one is like, just enjoy the journey.
Right.
Enjoy the memories, create those memories, take them with you.
Yep.
Don't look back on the bad, just focus on the good in the future.
Yep.
And move forward.
Agreed.
Seems fair enough, right? The last one I have for you.
Okay.
What did the ocean say to the beach?
Oh, God. Is this dad joke of the week?
Nothing. It just waved.
Got him. Is it dad joke of the week? Is that what we're doing?
Well, maybe once in a while. I don't know.
We're going to do dad joke of the week, apparently, because Nick is full of these.
You just don't know when they're going to happen, though. Because sometimes they might just come out in the middle when it seems right. That's why you got to listen. In the business, we call it a teaser, right? Listen to the whole episode.
In the business.
This one, they had to wait till the end to get it. You never know what'll happen next week.
I feel like you just gave me the business there.
I mean,
Say your dad joke one more time.
What did the ocean say to the beach?
Nothing. It just waved.
It's great.
Oh, God, it's ridiculous. Well, remember, creating your own path forward is one of the most rewarding steps you can take, whether it's in your business, your career, or even your personal growth. The journey is one of exploration, discovery, and growth. Start with that vision, make a plan, take it one step at a time, and remember, at ShopSabre, we're here to support you with all your CNC needs, should that be part of your plan. And so, as always, thank you for listening, tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, share it with somebody else who too might enjoy Talking Shop. Obviously, we would love to hear from you on more about things you want us to talk about. Maybe there's a subject or a topic that's been bugging you that you want to go through. Share it with us, gives us something to chat about. And as always, keep growing, keep pushing, keep investing in yourself. With that, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Nick.
Thanks for Talking Shop with ShopSabre.